Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there. Welcome back.
Welcome back, guys. We want to thank you patrons again for your support and all those also supporting us on YouTube.
We want to say a huge thank you to Nina, Stacy, and Ann. Thanks, you guys. We appreciate it.
And thank you guys also for your generosity over on Ko-Fi, because again, you couldn't do it without you guys. So we have a G3. We had a G3, which is a strong geomagnetic storm. What hit me is really odd, although it does happen. Having aurora all the way down to Texas is not typical. It really isn't typical. And in fact, it's only really happened, well, in the last couple of years, as far as with any sort of regularity. Not that it's a regular occurrence, but the point is something is changing. Something is changing big time. This, again, wasn't even really a tremendously powerful storm. We've seen much more powerful, but as you see, this person here, we had a downright insane aurora tonight. And as we had shared with you guys before, see like this beautiful color right in here, this magenta. As we go deeper into the Bronze Age, you're going to be seeing that more and more and more. So, this is part of the changing of the Yugas, because again, we have the four elements, earth, air, fire, and water, which come out of the ether. The ether is changing. And so when we ask the guides about this, this is really what the guides said, was this is due to the changes in the ether.
Right. Well, that's what the galactics and the guides said. It's changes in the ether. And then also keep in mind that these auroras, they're actual beings. They're here to say hello. And you probably, sometimes you might feel extra drawn to a certain pattern. And that has something to do with your auric field as well.
Yeah, again, this is not something that science is going to teach you. I don't know how many scientists really understand this or have a clue about this. If they do, they probably keep it to themselves.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Just mind-blowingly beautiful. But if we were to really see ourselves outside of the body, what would we see? We'd see energy patterns. This is what we would see. And as I've shared with you guys, I remember so clearly doing deep meditation when I was by myself in Florida, also up in Ohio. And I would see when my guides would come into the room, because they would look a lot like this. They would look like these pillars of light. And, it's the same thing now when we call in the guides, do mantras and meditations. There are these pillars of light that come into the room. And when you look again to the colors are indicating a frequency. So, what we're looking at is very high vibrational beings.
They are, for sure, and they do speak to you. If you kind of get silent out there and ground your feet, put your feet into the dirt, and you're looking at them, you'll hear them.
Yeah, this is just absolutely beautiful. Take heart. We are in a transition period right now. This transition period will last a while. Again, the more people that we can wake up, the more people that we could get to have that regular spiritual practice where you're always aware of where you're residing on the frequency scale, and then trying to keep yourself from bottoming out into periods of lower frequency. It's natural. I mean, we get the news, everything today and the last several days has all been about a certain event, and it's creating even more division. Yet we need to come together. We need to understand that if we are going to pull ourselves out of the residue of a dark age, it's going to involve work, spiritual work.
A lot. And that's really, why we made Heart's Home, for people who are ready to do that work.
Yes, and if you haven't subscribed yet to Heart's Home, that's the newest channel. Please do. Again, we thank you guys for your support. It's bright, it's fast, and Earth will pass through its orbit in October. So it's not necessarily connected with 3i Atlas. This is Comet Swan. I've seen it called 25b and also C/2025 Art2. And this is one that popped out from the backside of the sun. And it's got a very big tail, 2 degrees across the sky. And it got closest to the sun on the 12th at a half of an astronomical unit. So half the distance of the Earth to the sun is how close this got to the sun. And now it's going to be heading back out. But we are actually going to be going very, very close through potentially its tail. And certainly its energy.
And that's going to be beautiful. You can hone in on that. And a lot of these things make changes in your life. So if this flies by and you're going through some major changes, just know that that energy is affecting you.
Earth will cross Swan's orbit on October 5th. That could mean possibly a meteor shower. Now, they say this one has an orbit all the way out to the Kuiper Belt, which is 86 astronomical units away. That's a pretty good distance of a period of 286 years. So it's not a regular one from what they say. And again, when you look to the night sky, it's always interesting if you have a telescope or a really good set of binoculars. We have binoculars that weigh like 5 pounds. They're gigantic, about a foot or so long. Do quite a good job. Especially love being out in the desert and watching all the everything, whatever they are, those objects out there. Sometimes, yeah, sure. Sometimes what we would call comets. Other times, maybe something different. We have an asteroid here, 2025 RL2. It's going to pass Earth at half a lunar distance on the 19th. So in 3 days, half the distance from the moon to us. Again, that's a massive difference from the distance of the sun to the Earth. So curious. It does happen. We get typically about 100 objects that will approach within one distance of the moon, one lunar distance away. So, if you see something that's, past a lunar distance, it's not really such a biggie. And they've come much closer again than half a lunar distance. Now, this one is somewhere between 17 and 37 meters, about 56 and 121 feet. Comparable in size to the Chelyabinsk meteor that gave us quite a blast. So, just keep your eyes to the sky. You never know what you're going to see. Meteor fireball over Ohio and several other states. This was on the 15th. Also, Missouri and a couple other states, Iowa and Illinois. Here's another one. This was up in Wisconsin and Illinois, also on the 15th. And we have more here. Now, this was Arizona, Colorado, Idaho, Montana, Nevada, PA, Utah, and Wyoming. Wow, this was one that was seen by quite a few people. 5 of the most significant impact craters in North America. Yeah, while we're talking about meteors, comets, asteroids, this one gets me nauseous. And, we were there and we were going to go out and I couldn't go to it. It was like just the energy that was coming from this. They say this one impacted about 50,000 years ago. And in case you're wondering, this is the Barrington crater. And the meteor crater it's south of Winslow, Arizona, 4,000 feet across, 700 feet deep. Wow, this is one of the most recognizable impact craters in North America. They say 50,000 years ago. Yeah, I don't know about that. But I can share what I feel. And what I feel was people that were living their lives normally and all of a sudden looked up and then poofed. And, that was such a strong vision that hit me big time. And every time we drive by this area, it always bothers me.
Yeah, it was a mess for Mike. It really was. But that energy it's yucky. It's yucky.
Yeah, and so I'd asked Cindy too. What do you see with this impact crater? Was this a random event, or was this something else? Was this actually some form of attack on the population below?
No, it was definitely a war. So it was a war that made it to Earth, is what happened.
Yeah, and again, I tend to feel this was closer to our Younger Dryas period than what they say. Wow. There's also one, in case you don't know, under the Chesapeake Bay. Yes, Chesapeake Bay has a crater. Now, they say the date of impact of that one was 35 million years ago. The crater size is 25 miles. Holy cow. This was only discovered in 1990. Because it's buried under 1,000 feet of rock beneath the ocean. Yeah, it was a big one. They say again, 35 million years ago. Oops. Yeah, let's bring up these other ones. Lake Manakouagan. This is in Quebec, Canada. 40 miles in diameter. About 212 million years ago, this would have caused a bad day for a lot of beings. When you're talking 40 miles in diameter, obviously this would be something that would wipe out everything around it and cause massive, massive impact to all the life on the planet, really. Sudbury Basin, this is in Sudbury, Ontario, Canada. 1.8 billion years ago, crater size 37 miles by 18 miles. Holy cow, the impacts of these. And then down in the Yucatan, 66 million years ago, 100 miles in diameter. This one's called the Tail of the Devil. Yes, 66 million. Ooh, that number. 66 million years ago, an asteroid or comet measuring between 9 and 18. Do you see the symmetry of the numbers? 6, 6, 9, 18. Crashed into the Gulf of Mexico with the explosive violence of 100 million atomic bombs, created a fireball that burned at 18,000 degrees Fahrenheit. 18,000, 1 plus 8 equals 9. That's completion. Everything about this is all the numerology of it talks about completion. And, this is, again, when we're talking about the end of the dinosaurs, this is what they point to. But, what we've gotten as far as the history from the galactics and the guides is that the dinosaurs were put into, not by chance, but on purpose.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, they were definitely sent here on purpose. And it was a whole different world. It was a very, very different world. And I still don't think we have the correct depictions of them at this point in time. And I think our history is way off, too, when it comes to timing. It's not what they say it is at all.
They were more intelligent than we're led to.
Way more intelligent. I mean, they were so, you see dogs, and when dogs talk to each other and make certain moves and do certain things, and the other dog listens, they were very empathic with each other, and they had a level of respect for each other too, giving each other space and so on. So they were very interesting creatures.
Yeah, they're not what science has given us at all. And in fact, they were in some cases cattle. In some cases, they were literally pets for the reptilian presence on the planet.
To enjoy.
Yes. Spike in seismic activity. This raises phreatic eruption risk, and this is at Canlaon volcano in the Philippines. So the alert level is 2, and communities are being urged to avoid in case this one goes off. And we have severe rain in China, as you see, massive flooding, and somebody out there body surfing. Wow! Holy cow! Yeah, it hasn't stopped. This is over in Italy. So all over the world, we're seeing still these massive floods with massive amounts of rainfall coming down at rates that we really haven't seen except for at this last maybe 8 years or so. Ground beef warning. Former USDA scientists blowing the whistle. 70% of supermarket ground beef contains pink slime, a filler made from beef trimmings once destined for dog food. sprayed with ammonia to kill bacteria, and then added to your food as cheap substitute. Yeah, this is again par for the course. We never buy any meats from the typical grocery store. It's really the case. We're thankful that we're able to source locally from a few different families that we know what they do with the animals, and they're all free range, and they don't give them any ouchies. They don't give them any GMO foods. There's such a level. I know you guys get it, and I'm preaching to the choir, but there's such a level of the public out there that just don't have a clue. They don't have a clue, and I feel so bad for them, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, they're really asleep, and sometimes I guess they prefer it.
Maybe. Ignorance is bliss until
it's not.
Yeah, until it's not. Meanwhile, this is up on top of a mountain. There are mountains that are 12,000 feet up in the air, and they have shells on them. What the heck happened here? Well, yeah, absolute turmoil is what happened here. There's definitely been resets on this planet, and they happen very often. And the level of those resets is, I think, beyond most people's comprehension. Were all the mountains underwater? Well, again, history is not what they tell us. The changes happen far quicker and far more often than science, leads us to believe.
Oh, they do. You really have to learn to read energy as best as you can, because the science, the people who write the science and the media and, any big views, they're going to tell you what they need you to know to help them along on their path. And we're kind of out here in left field, stuck by ourselves, and just, putting out the truth where we can to those who are ready to hear it.
Yeah, as I had shared with you guys before, we had a little property over in the Nevada desert, and we found seashells in there that I don't think were thousands of years. No, and coral, and sponge. And again, if you told me they were maybe a few hundred years old, I would believe that. 200 to 300, sure. Thousands? No, not at all. Again, look back to what happened to Sacramento, the capital of California, in the 1850s, 1860s. When we look at 1850s, 1860s, actually, you can find major flooding events. But then we could also look for the major fire events, which happened, again, at different intervals, different cities. But, Chicago fire, the Seattle fire, there's a whole town under Seattle. The old town's under Seattle. It's such a world of cover-ups and distortion. And it's really coming out now in the geopolitical scene. And the reality is, again, left or right, as long as we pick one of the arms or one of the wings, we're still picking the same diabolical pterodactyl. Because I'm going to say that because it has that cold-blooded reptilianness to it. The reality is we need something totally different. Totally different. There's no system on Earth that's worth its weight at all. And none of them have been working for us or for, our wonderful kitties and pups out there as well.
They deserve all the love they can get.
They deserve better. We deserve better. You deserve better.
Indeed.
As always, guys, source bless and namaste.
Namaste.